Here we go. Hi, Greg. Many thanks for supporting Keynotion's World Consumer Goods and Retail Forum. Could you kindly introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm really excited to attend the conference in a couple of weeks. So by way of introduction, my name is Greg Kilngaman. I am a direct-to-consumer retail and CPG executive with over 20 years of experience leading transformations for brands like Johnnie Walker, Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, and the Home Depot. I am currently a strategic advisor for Anyroad, based in Amsterdam, and I am heading up the EMEA operations and also advising specifically on retail and CPG. Anyroad is an experiential marketing software scale-up, which is delivering platforms and solutions for brands, retailers, field marketers, and even virtual events to help measure and optimize the impact of experiences. Prior to joining Anyroad, I was global retail director for Diageo, where I led Diageo's £185 million investment in Scotch whiskey experiences in Scotland, headlined by the opening of Johnnie Walker Princes Street in Edinburgh last September. So that's me.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you. And as you have shared, you moved to a different role recently. Could you kindly share how different are they for you?
It's definitely different, especially going from a large global corporation to a scale-up technology company. But there's also a lot of carryover and a lot of connections between the two. So, whether it was with Diageo or Tommy Hilfiger or other retailers that I've worked with, the common thread was around the customer experience, oftentimes enabled by the use of technology, empowering staff, providing mechanisms to engage consumers, capture consumer data, and overall, use these, whether it was retail or brand experiences, as a way to drive brand transformation. And Anyroad, the technology solution, we implemented that in all of the brand experiences in Scotland that we were transforming in Diageo. So I was, of course, familiar with the solution, had been an executive sponsor, and felt like it was the best solution on the market to not only drive the ticketing process, but even most importantly, to help us to measure and optimize the impact of the investment that we made in these experiences. So different for sure, but an extension of what I've been doing for most of my career. And it's a really fun space to be in because you're seeing brands investing more than ever in experiences, and Anyroad is there to help them to understand what they're doing and make them more effective.
Cool. And your focus is on D2C for this upcoming event. Could you kindly give us a sneak preview?
Sure. Yeah, I will talk a little bit about sort of a structure of problem, solution, and outcome. And as I mentioned, brands are really investing in experiences like never before, but they have a bit of a data problem. So whether that is having events and experiences, even retail, not capturing the kind of consumer data and getting the insights that you might need to drive lifetime value for that consumer, or to improve the experiences over time, and also just not having the actionable information. So, like as an example, at Diageo, oftentimes when I was there, we would do a field activation, and the way that we would measure the success would be in terms of cost per contact, or in terms of the number of samples that we gave out at an event. Now that's useful information. It's equivalent to, say, in retail, understanding your revenue or footfall, or at a brand home, like your number of visitors. But it doesn't really help you to understand whether your investments are paying back or not. And so that's a big part of the problem that I'll talk about. Now, the solution, one of the solutions at least, is the Anyroad platform, and talk a little bit about how we work with these, with brands, with retailers, and so on, to help them to measure this and to capture that data in a very actionable way. And then, of course, the outcome will be, I'll be referencing Johnnie Walker Princes Street throughout, and use some of the examples from that. Why did we do it? And then how did we use Anyroad to capture the impact of what we were doing and tying it back to the original why. And then, I'll use some familiar terms like Net Promoter Score, NPS. We'll be referencing, Joe Pine's 5 E's of experiential, with a different visual perspective created by one of our agencies. But also we'll be introducing something that Anyroad has developed called brand conversion, which takes a combination of those things and helps a brand to understand sort of the before and after impact. So this idea that someone who is a detractor or a passive, if I can move them up, if I can move someone who's, say, a detractor into a promoter using Net Promoter Score because of the experience, they become the most valuable of all in terms of consumers. And so that's where that before and after piece comes in. And then also around this idea of capturing first party consumer data and making it data that you can use and you can market to in the future.
Cool. And in general, for retail industry, do you see a trend moving towards D2C?
Yeah, it's something that happened even pre-COVID, and of course you saw it accelerate during that. I mean, we even saw the transition in Diageo. I mean, it was a little bit harder to get traction a few years ago, and then now it's all about getting the brands closer to the end consumer, and not only as a revenue driver, not only as another point of distribution, but even more importantly, to be able to tell the stories of the brand, to be able to engage directly with consumers, capture first-party consumer data so that we can have an ongoing conversation. So it's a trend that you're seeing. And then, of course, it works best when it's done in this sort of, fully like an ecosystem kind of way, right? Where you might have physical stores, you've got e-commerce working together seamlessly. You're doing field marketing events. You could create brand homes if you've got places where you're making the product, all of those kinds of things. And then I think the way that people are doing retail and D2C is, of course, changing. So if you're a brand and you've got a physical product, you've now got people are buying your experience as much as they're buying physical goods. And so, of course, that changes the way that brands are thinking about doing it. And, they're creating, a really exciting retail. It's a great time to be in this space because of what's happening. You're seeing, people are showing how the product is made. They're creating play spaces. They're creating opportunities for education and master classes. And they're dedicating, partly it's because of you've got this great relationship with other things. You don't have to stuff the stores full of product anymore because you can, in fact, set it up so that a good portion of it ends up being more of a showroom and a place for education than a place that strictly generates revenue. And because of that, it's even more important that brands and retailers measure the performance differently than they have in the past. And so a little bit what I'll talk about will be this idea of defining success beyond the four-wall P&L.
Okay, thank you. And my favorite question, what do you look forward to discussing at the event?
Well, it's a great lineup of speakers and panelists. And I think, for me, first and foremost, it's a learning opportunity, a chance to meet some new people who hopefully will stay connected to post event. These things they're so essential, I think, to staying current and understanding trends. I've been in the same situation like probably many people going to this conference where they haven't been able to travel as much the last couple of years. And so we've been a bit, I'm seeing what's happening in Amsterdam and a few other places nearby, but I'm excited to learn about what's happening in other parts of the world. I think, the lineup that we have coming in will bring great examples, great perspective. So, just really excited to learn and grow and have the takeaways that will help me professionally and personally and make some great connections for future conversations.
Thank you, Greg, for taking your busy time off for this interview. So ladies and gentlemen, to directly engage with Greg to hear more in depth about his success story with Diageo and how Anyroad can help you achieve what you want to achieve for retail, do join us on 23rd and 24th of June here in Amsterdam. So see you.